All right, give them a second to come on in. Come on in. Happy Thursday to everybody. We want to do a little brief preview. Come on in. Waiting for you to come on in this morning. Come on in. Come on in. Come on in.
Get them fired up.
We want to talk about this Washington State. You listen to some of these people, they're trying to put fear in your eyes, man. But we're gonna talk about the number. What's up, Luke? How's everybody doing this morning? Good morning to everybody. How's everybody doing this morning? They want us to be lost in the sauce, but we refuse to do that. We're not gonna be lost in the sauce. AK, what's going on? Beat the Cools. Good morning. Good morning. How's everything going this morning? Brandon, what's going on? What's up? How's everybody doing this morning? Brian, what's going on, my man? We're going to talk about this Washington State. Let me put these up so you can see these. What's going on, man? Everything is all right this morning.
What's good? What's good?
We want to touch on Washington State real quick and give a brief preview and of how we feel the game is going to go. Yes, Washington State has an athletic team. Yes, they are a very competitive team. Yes, they've been competitive. They probably should have won that Oregon game. And yes, they do have a transfer portal quarterback, Cam Ward from Incarnate Word University. So what's going on, Mark? How's everybody doing this morning? So we just want to touch on that this morning. We want to give a brief preview and touch on that. Absolutely, Luke. Washington State defense is fast, but we're going to try to neutralize that. So anyway, we want to talk about this, man. I hope everybody's having a blessed morning this morning. We want to talk about Washington State. We kind of want to deal with the offense first and their defense first and kind of touch on that. Because you look at it when they played Oregon and they played when they played Wisconsin, they gave up a lot of yards rushing, which was something that I really wasn't aware of until I really looked into the numbers. When you looked at Oregon, when they played Oregon, they gave up 178 yards rushing. Hugo, what's up? Absolutely. When they played Oregon, they gave up 178 yards rushing. When they played Wisconsin, they gave up 174. And Wisconsin is not that good of a team. Wisconsin is a team that's having some major issues, got blown out by a couple of teams. And so is Washington State competitive on defense? I think they are, and they're small and athletic. However, we want to touch on that. John, what's your thoughts, your initial thoughts as we open up? We're talking about Washington State.
You know what? I know this is going to be first of all, fight on, everybody, Trojan family. Good morning, wherever you are in your part of the country or your part of the world. Good afternoon. I like this matchup. Historically, this has always been a challenging game because Wazoo can recruit very good skill players. They traditionally have skill players who are very competitive, and they always have offensive and defensive linemen who are aggressive. So they kind of match up well with us in the sense that we are similarly sized, in my opinion. Like on the up front, we have the same styles of body types, and in the back end, we have similar types of guys. So I think that this is going to be more of a track meet type of game.
Right.
I strongly believe that our receiving core has a great opportunity to eat out there. And I believe our secondary can take advantage of a very, very turnover-oriented quarterback.
Absolutely.
Because I like Cam. Now, Cam Ward, he can ball. He's a dual threat guy, can make some great improvised plays with his feet, but it's his arm that they actually trust. They trust him.
Yeah.
But the thing is if we look at his stats over his career, I think the man has thrown about 21 interceptions in under 3 seasons. So in this season alone, he's already thrown 7 INTs, right?
Yeah.
And with a defense like ours, that's extremely what we call opportunistic and who want to essentially get their lick back from last week because we dropped like 4 picks last week. So I think that our defensive secondary is going to have a really excellent opportunity to like increase our turnover margin. So I'm excited. I'm excited about the matchup. Their rushing attack it's competitive, but it's not something super aggressive. I think they're averaging like 91 yards rushing a game.
Yeah.
It's under 100 yards rushing. Their leading rusher has 2 touchdowns, 2 rushing TDs. So there's room.
Yeah.
There's a lot of room.
Yeah.
I think the things that jumps out at me on film when I break them down is, overall they kind of allow like 371 yards of total offense on them per game.
It's crazy. It is absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
And I don't think a lot of people, they're not even in the top 130. They're not even in the top 130 in college football as far as being able to contain people with the passing game.
No. And they do give up some good passing yardage, but it's the interesting thing is that it's not too far off from where we are. To be honest, it's similar to our defense, except our defense tends to hold a lot better in crunch time. We hold. So that's what I love about our defense in comparison to theirs. But if I really, really can remember correctly, and I'm trying to review my notes in my head, passing wise, the yards that they allow in the passing game is somewhere about 60 to 80 yards per game more than what we do, right? But the issue is they actually break down in the red zone from time to time, where we tend to really hold up in that red zone. And that's a huge differential to look at that makes me feel very confident about what we have going on.
Absolutely. We're number 30 as far as and I kind of dealt with that yesterday. As far as what we do, we're number 31 in the country as far as passing yards allowing only 204 yards. Washington State is almost like, I want to say like 150 yards more. They're not even in the top. They allow a lot of yards passing wise, and then rushing. They like I said with Oregon, allowed 178 yards, and then Wisconsin as well, 174 yards. I think we can establish. Do you think? Let me ask you this. We know that they have an athletic defensive front, but they're smaller. They're very small compared to some of the other defensive fronts. And I know Lincoln Riley said that Arizona State actually was probably the most physical defensive line that we should see all year long. I remember he said that.
He did.
Do you think that this small offensive line will give some of our not offensive line, their defensive line will give some of our offensive line some trouble as relates to getting around the edge and be able to contain some of those blocks?
I believe they can, especially because they're playing us. Everyone plays above their pay grade when they play USC. Everybody plays USC like it's their natty championship. That's just what it is. You're gonna get every single person's best punch, and every player is up for this matchup, especially because of the aspirations that we have this season. Like when USC is down, people still play like, when USC was down over the last several seasons, like dudes was running up the score on us. Like think about like how vicious that is, right? And so now that USC is up, they want to make certain that the things that they've done in the past, not just Wazoo, I'm talking about every school, right? Every school is going to give us their best shot. So I agree that this defensive front, because they do movement very similar to the way our defensive line shifts and moves right before the snap count. So that is designed to create confusion and to create a little bit of undisciplined eyes from our O-line standpoint and our running backs and tight ends and pass pro. So if that's the case, and I know that our defense in practice sometimes gives our offense some confusion. So it leaves me room to believe that there is a little bit of wiggle room in there for our offensive line to have a little trouble. Now, I don't think it's anything that's beyond our ability to handle after we see it one or two times.
Yeah.
Shame on me. Fool me, or shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. I don't think it's going to be multiple times where we're getting really tricked by what they're doing up front. And I do think our running backs are going to have a more dominant game as opposed to last week. I think
Absolutely.
our offensive line has had an opportunity to rest up a little bit. I know
Yeah.
Cortland is feeling stronger. Gino came in and did a really remarkable job. He's proven to be someone that we can lean on. Dedich is coming back. So guys are coming back. Like our offensive line is plugging in the gaps.
Yeah.
And even, from an inside source, people are saying that Cooper's starting to look good. Lovelace.
Yeah.
He's starting to understand the system. So I'm encouraged about our O-line moving forward for the rest of this season. And I do think we will assert our dominance. I really do.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And speaking about Cam Ward, you mentioned about his career and turnovers. I think on this year, I think he has it's like 9 interceptions, some kind of, it's kind of up there, man. That guy, he's like a gunslinger, man. He will go out there and start slinging that rock.
Yes,
and I think he's one of those quarterbacks. He does move around. I think he's one of those quarterbacks that when he's on, he's on, and then when he's off, and he'll make some throws, but he's not afraid to make those throws. And sometimes those quarterbacks are sometimes the scariest quarterbacks because they'll throw it out there, man. They'll throw a 50-50 ball, and you'll mess around and you won't know which direction this thing is going into. So the fact that he has 9 interceptions, he's kind of unpredictable, but he is a good quarterback, and he is establishing them as a better team than they were last year. And so I think containing him, man, is a must. And we got to contain him. What's your thoughts on that?
So our defense gets reps at containing one of the most versatile, mobile, dual threat quarterbacks in the country.
Absolutely.
With Caleb. So I don't think that it's going to be something that they won't be extremely perplexed, in my opinion, because I think the quarterback we played last week from ASU, he had mobility, right? The quarterback from Fresno State was a dual threat guy. So we've seen these people, right? And we got to prepare for dudes coming down the line, especially guys that are across town,
Yeah.
So I think overall there is a very, very high level of consciousness on keeping eyes on the quarterback, trying to spy. But yes, Ward is pretty dangerous because you can play perfect defense in the back end and the linebacker, and then your perfect defense can be completely you can get punished for playing perfect defense by a quarterback that can extend plays with his legs. So with that being said, I do believe that this guy feels like he can trust his arm.
Yeah.
And the one thing that I recognize about Ward is he plays particularly well against top competition.
Yeah.
I was looking through some of his stats, and he becomes like a 71% completion quarterback when he's playing against guys in the top 25. Any team, like the tougher the competition, it seems like his game elevates a little bit. So I have no reason to believe that he won't be on complete like demon mode. He's going to be trying to kill SC. And
absolutely. Now, but here's my thought on him. When I looked at, and we can just go back, and I know ratings, we always say that ratings don't matter. We're going to answer this question from Brian as well. Ratings don't matter when they come out, but Emory Jones last week, if you just say Emory Jones and Cam Ward, if you just say who's the better quarterback in your opinion, physically, throwing the ball as well, because I kind of looked at both of them. I went back and forth, and in my opinion, I mean, Emory, as much as individuals are down on Emory Jones, Arizona State quarterback, I feel like Emory Jones is really a better, just as good quarterback. What's your thoughts on that? From a pure talent standpoint.
They're model of one another. And I do know that we got an Emory that was kind of banged up. I mean, he had a hamstring. He had a little bit of a hamstring, and he still rushed for a touchdown on us.
Yeah. He looked kind of fast. He looked kind of fast as well.
He came from Florida, right? So
he came from Florida. Yeah, big time recruit.
Big time recruit. So clearly that young man, I think he was a 5-star at some point.
Yeah, he was big time. Yeah,
that young man knows how to ball, and I feel like we have a very similar matchup. I'm grateful to have had the reps against the quarterback we had last week, and we fuel off that jet stream and come into this week. Our mindset can stay connected to what we did in that second half.
Yeah.
The way we were able to fit our gaps, the way we were able to read and control and contain. That's what we need to do going into this game. And I do really strongly believe that we can jump out on them, especially because they don't have the most aggressive running attack. They just don't. And that doesn't mean that a guy can't get off, you know. I think their lead running back's name is Watson, I think is the running back's name. And he's a good running back. I mean, he has very similar stats to Travis Dye.
Right.
They both have 62 carries on the season. You know, and I think he has something like 312 total yards, whereas Travis has like 422, something along those lines. But the same carries. So with this guy averaging like 91, you know, he doesn't get above 100-yard games often.
Right.
So that's gonna force their quarterback to be the star. And I think we thrive in that type of a setting where we know that those dudes have to throw the ball, where we got Eric Gentry in the middle. We can use our length to block up some of those passing lanes. It's just the refs got to stay out of the game, man. When it's a heavy pass-oriented game and the receivers are pushing, the DBs are fighting for position, the refs can't try to be heroes throwing rinky-dink flags for no reason. That's the thing that I'm like alerted on. Like, is these Pac-12 refs, when it comes to passing attacks, they love to get involved when these guys are just playing ball. They need to let the dudes play unless it's very egregious or it's super one-sided. You can tell like the receivers are pushing off too much. The DBs are really holding the guys. But if they're hand fighting and running and it's like it's a 50-50 situation and you just try not to get burnt on national TV, let these dudes play football. Right? And I think we're going to get some jump balls this game. I think
absolutely.
Sierra and Damani are going to get tested. I think they are going to go at Mekhi. I believe that they're going to go at Mekhi, especially with their top receiver, dude's last name is Ali. You know, him and Jordan Addison got similar amounts of receptions. Like he got 27 receptions on the season. Our best receiver, Jordan, has 29.
Yeah.
The only difference is Jordan has, you know, our player has like 440 something yards, and this other guy has like right at 300. So there are a lot of similarities with our skill players. There's a lot of similarities with our defensive line. There's a lot of similarities with our running attack and how balanced that we are. So on paper, this matches up to be a very, very, very competitive game. I think that we need to do is we need to come in there with an aggressive defensive spirit and really control the line of scrimmage to force them to shoot the ball in the air so our guys can do what we do. And is Cam Ward a running threat? Yes, he is.
Yeah. Absolutely. He's a big time running threat.
Yeah.
You there?
He'll go. Can you hear me?
Okay, I hear you now.
All right. Yeah, did we glitch?
Yeah, it kind of glitched, but I think I can hear you now.
Okay. Oh, okay. They try to put us in the matrix.
Yeah.
All right, bro. We good. Essentially, I just like the way we match up.
Yeah.
You know, like this squad averages like 29.6, 29.8 points a game. That's going to be tough to beat us if our offense is firing.
Absolutely.
You know, we average somewhere around 42.6, and I think that should be a lot higher. I really do. We had some touchdowns called back, but I do believe that it's a tough matchup. I mean, you know, USC, we give up 19 something points a game.
Yeah.
Right? And Washington State gives up 18.2 points a game.
Yeah.
So, like I said, we really are pretty evenly matched in a lot of areas on paper. But, you know, it's different when you put them cleats on the grass.
Absolutely. And they average, I see here, they average 302 yards passing per game. And but I think the fact that, like we talked about, I think the fact that, the quarterback Ward, the fact that he makes some throws that sometimes can be costly. I think we have an opportunity here to get some turnovers. I mean, you don't want to face a team like that when you have that many turnovers that has the turnover rate that USC had. USC has one of the I think I posted on my Instagram. They're like in so many categories, they're leading the nation right now in turnover rate, and I think that's going to work well on our behalf. I think that's going to work very well on our behalf. Let's get to this comment. Vontae Anderson, he says Shane Lee is a liability when the RB comes out of the backfield. What's your thought? Gopher might be a better option. What's your thoughts? Somebody else mentioned that yesterday. What's your thoughts on that?
I can understand why you would say that, based on one play from last week. But I've seen Shane cover the running back out of the backfield 14 to 15 times this season on those very similar routes, and he never got beat. So he got beat last week. He got beat. It was a pick play. It was a rub route where the tight end bumped him, and the running back came out of the backfield. So I don't know if you really watched. I suggest you go on YouTube if you could find that play or just find that portion of the game. It was early, but you'll notice it was an illegal procedure because the tight end ran upfield towards Shane. He bumped him like he was blocking, like he actually touched him, and that forced Shane to settle down and look into the backfield, and he lost his eyes. So that is a bust. It is Shane's fault. You still have to have eye discipline, but at the same time, that's called an illegal procedure because a tight end cannot advance up the field, block a coverage man, and it's not a run play.
Yeah.
It was an illegal procedure that should have been called back. So when I think about that, I'm like, those refs definitely should have called that because it was so clear and obvious that the tight touched him and blocked him for a split second, and Shane squared up. Because if you get blocked, you think it's a run. So you look in the backfield. You lose your man running up the field. Now, I'm not giving too much grace. I'm just saying that I've been in that situation in real life, and I felt really, really upset at how, like, it felt unfair. Like, that defies the rules that I'm supposed to follow. That's cheating. But anyway, so I can understand where Shane is going with that. But I don't think you can name one other time this season that's happened.
No, that's the first time I've ever seen. That's why it looked like, I don't know, like I guess to what you're saying, it looked like a miscommunication or a bump or something. It just looked like something was off with that. That's the first time I've ever seen Shane, I guess, kind of out of place. Every pretty much all during the season, this guy has been, between him and Eric Gentry, these two guys have been on point, on task, and very assignment-driven guys, man. So that was one of those things. I seen somebody hit me in the comment section a couple of days ago and said, no, that wasn't illegal, whatever. And I was,
It wasn't illegal, huh, according to that person?
Yeah, they mentioned something about that wasn't illegal, but I know you was on the field, so you had opportunity to actually see what happened.
I will send you the clip. Anytime a offensive player, especially a receiver, runs up the field like they're running a route and they settle and like touch the secondary man like as though it were a block, that's blocking before the ball is thrown. And that is actually illegal. So you can feel how you want to feel, but
thank you for clarifying that.
Imagine if all the receivers just start smacking the defensive backs that are covering other wide receivers and let the other wide receiver run free. It's just that is an illegal procedure.
Absolutely.
Didn't get caught, so it was legit. I'll leave it at that. But Shane, he didn't make no excuse. The defense didn't make no excuse because he still should have kept his eyes on his assignment. Keep your eye on your luggage, right? When you eye on your guy, even though somebody's touching you in the middle of that route progression. Right.
Let's get to this question, Oscar. Thank you for clarifying that. Will USC looking ahead? Will USC be looking ahead to a Utah game and get? No, I don't. I think these coaches, and John, you can answer this too. I think these coaches are, especially Lincoln Riley. He's well prepared, and he understands the magnitude of this game. Because if we look at this, let's just talk about this for a second. Thank you, Oscar, for that question. Let's talk about this. These next two games are really, yes, we can split the games and still good, but we don't want to split these games. These next two games are going to be so important for us as it relates to where we're going this season I mean, this is very critical. So I think the fact that we stay focused on this game is something that has to be done. You cannot look past a team like Washington State. Washington State is ready to eat. They hungry. They ready to come and get it. What's your thoughts on this, John?
No, these guys are starving because they're a one-loss team that shouldn't be have a loss. They should be undefeated.
They should have won that Oregon game.
They took Oregon to the brink, right?
To the brink.
That was when Oregon was ranked number 15, I think, in the country or something like that. Like
I think they were ranked higher than that.
They may have been. You know,
they may have. Yeah, that was after they lost. Yeah, you're right. You're right. That's probably, yeah, you're right.
It depends on the poll you look at, but I'm telling you, they played really well against ranked opponents. They really their game up against the stiffer competition, which is why they took Wisconsin out early. And I think Wisconsin was 19 or 20, somewhere around there in the top 25.
And it was a hostile environment. It's much louder than what SC's going to be.
It's very, very true. They are not the types of team that's going to fold. Washington State, that is. Wazoo is not the type of team that's going to fold when there's stiff competition. So I know that our coaching staff is preparing our squad to recognize, look, there's a lot of history between those coaching staffs as well. Lincoln Riley is close buddies with a lot of the coaches that are on Washington State staff.
Yeah. What about the offensive line coach from last year?
Clay McGuire. Right?
Yeah.
So he was our O-line coach last season.
Yeah.
And see, he is beloved in the USC community because he took our O-line from nothing to something during that weird air raid offense that was just completely weird that I just didn't understand. But he allowed us to be competitive in games when we had a lot of holes in our squad. But I'll say this. Those offensive linemen that are playing for USC currently recognize the coaching that they're getting at Washington State. Now, even though it's not the D-line coach, they still know the types of culture that Clay McGuire is going to be teaching the defensive linemen what those players are like.
Right.
So you have to know that there's a lot of incentives for these guys to play as hard as they can. So I don't believe for 1 second that USC is thinking past Washington State, because I will tell you right now, Washington State, if they play well and we do not, they can run us out of this Coliseum.
Absolutely. And they play fast. I think it's important that we establish our footing very, very fast and do like we had then in the beginning of the season and establish ourselves first, throwing that ball and getting it out there quick, get ahead on the scoreboard. I need to address this real quick. This is from Fat Dong. SC hasn't beaten a ranked team yet until they beat Utah. I'll be a believer. Well, let me address this real quick. If you look at Washington State and how they established themselves, even Oregon State, those two teams, Oregon State was ranked 3-0 while we were ranked 3-0. All those teams should have been ranked. And there's no reason why they shouldn't have been ranked. And if you look at some of the teams that were ranked, you look at how Texas A&M doing, you're looking at different teams that were in the top 25, how they're just falling by the wayside. Washington State should have been ranked. And there's a few other teams in the Pac-12. UCLA just got ranked, and they're now 5-0, but they should have been ranked. These are strategic moves that often happen by these guys because of the bias. And so it's a reason why they do it, because the very thing that you just said, FC hadn't played anybody. Well, that's the way the computers look at it as well. What you think about that, John?
Well, first, you're absolutely right. I totally agree with you. But, bro, is that your real name? I don't believe that's your real name. I'm sorry. I think you're trolling. I think you're trolling, brother. and if that's the case, all right, bravo for that troll. But, I am not a believer in anything except Christ. What I am is a realist, and I've been there, so I recognize the bias, and I recognize the truth about some of these intrinsic systems that they have, right? And there's a lot of framework being done in the polls and the coaching just the fact that we play so much later than most of the other games in the country, we can't get the eyes of the coaches to watch West Coast games because they start so late, right? Most of these amazing games are scheduled what they call Pac-12 after dark.
After dark, which is crazy.
Which is silly. And by then, East Coast time, which is where all the voters are, which is where all the polls are, which is where all the entire infrastructure of the NCAA comes from the eastern and southern part of the country. So by us playing so late, these guys aren't watching these games. They're not watching to see the magnitude of the talented athletes that are coming out of the West Coast conferences. So it is what it is. And I'll say this. USC has played 2 ranked teams that weren't ranked. They should have been. Washington State has played multiple teams that are ranked, and some should have been ranked higher, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So I don't care about all these rankings. We know that we have to win every single week. Every single week, we have to go 1-0.
Yeah.
Week 1-0. We can't play.
Absolutely.
Utah. We can't play Utah this week. Utah needs to get past UCLA and vice versa. We do what we can control, which is play the squad that's in front of you, regardless. So I don't want you guys thinking that we're overlooking anyone. Don't believe the media when they're saying that USC feels a certain type of way. The truth is media doesn't. This is the least amount of media access that USC has had in 10 years. The least amount of writers, analysts, publicists being able to go into practice and take notes and give what they perceive as their data analysis. Forgive me. These practices have been shut down.
Completely, man. Nobody has access right now.
They get so much access, maybe the beginning and the end, but they do not get to see the framework of USC. And I'm going to tell you, we have not shown anything to the country. We haven't shown anything of what we're actually capable of. And I know this because I talked to a handful of players, especially some on that O-line that are like, man, we haven't run anything yet. We haven't even gotten started yet. We haven't done the blitzes that I know we're capable of in the secondary. There's so much unpacked still in what we can bring to the table. And that's what makes our coaching staff excellent. We prepare for each moment. And the fact that we have the unique ability to make second half adjustments is what really, really allows us to be considered a national powerhouse.
Absolutely.
Have that ability. Like, we've outscored our opponents 55-7.
That's crazy.
Third quarter.
That's crazy.
Let's think about that. 55-7 in the third quarter.
It would not have been a touchdown if they wouldn't have called them crazy passing interference. We still would have held them to 17 points, just like we did with pretty much everybody else.
That's right. That's correct. And but here's also a good thing to take note of. Washington State is a very formidable third quarter team as well.
Yes.
Outscored their opponents somewhere around like 30 to 40 points to like 9 to 17 points or something. So they're also a good second half adjustment team. That's why I believe this is going to be a very, very fun matchup. And the outcome of the game should be determined what happens up front. What each of our defensive linemen can do to the other. Because if our defensive linemen do what they do and force Cam to throw the ball out of position without setting his feet, I think it's going to be a feast or famine for us. And I'm leaning towards our guys being very, very I think they believe they missed a lot of opportunities last week in interceptions and a lot more big plays. So I think that we're going to capitalize on that for sure. And I do also feel like our special teams, I know that we've taken a certain level of pride into what we do on the special teams for this upcoming week.
Absolutely. And a side note to what you're referring to as our defense, they're going to capitalize. Just a side note, Eric Gentry, this was an emotional game for him. We didn't get the version of Eric Gentry that we normally see. You got to understand, he played his old team. His feelings, some feelings were involved. No excuses, but we know that sometimes, the guy played on the team with him for a year or whatever. And so, you know, emotions were, you know, his head might have not been all the way in the game. I'm not saying it was out of the game, but it's a possibility. And I think I read some comments of, you know, something to that. But notice, though, from the first half and the second half, the defense came and completely tightened. I mean, it looked like a totally different defense once they got out there the second half. And so I think if we get that second half defense in the first half of this game, I think that it's going to be a humongous difference as it relates to, and then we couple that with getting out front, the offense getting out front. I think they're gonna have some problems if we can succeed in that manner.
I couldn't agree more, man. I strongly stand with that point of view. I spoke with Eric after the game, and he was just like, you could see how relieved he was.
Yes. That's stress, man.
You could tell, like, he was just like, I was carrying it this whole week. And he even said as much. He said, look, I wasn't talking to the media. I wasn't telling nobody how I felt. Like, my teammates was asking me all week if I was good. Like, just my whole mental going into it just felt bizarre because pregame, you know, I was over there high-fiving my teammates, hugging dudes that I was really close with last season. And, like, it was, you know, they were asking me if they taking care of me over here. And I just had to admit, like, yeah, you know, like, things are good where we are. Like, I love how they treat me here. And I am happy and proud of my decision. But it's almost like getting a new girlfriend, right? And then you're going out on a date with that new girlfriend. And then you at the bowling alley with your new lady, and you left your old lady. And, you know, she was cool. She was nice. But something about her attitude just you didn't agree with. So you decided to leave that and pursue greater horizons. And then you see your old girlfriend at the bowling alley, and you're like, oh man, this is odd. But I have to go.
You got to press pass.
I have to still keep things peaceful and amiable.
Yeah.
I can understand that challenge for like a 19-year-old.
Big time.
I can understand how, like, that's tricky. Like, you don't want bad blood. Because these dudes never did you wrong. It's just you felt like there was something in you that required and desired and almost even deserved more, right?
Yeah.
So I could see how he was just like, man, that was just such a challenging, emotional. I'm glad I got through it. He said it took me a while, and then when I finally, he said, you know what got me out of it? He said, when my girlfriend started talking trash. That's what he said. He said, I got my head back on tight when I was out there and my old teammates start talking trash. And then he said, oh, we playing football. Oh, I'm not still doing this. I'm doing this.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Now we play. And it was
absolutely
a different monster in the second half.
So there was some different things that was going on, you know, inside of his head, but at the same time he pulled through, he came through, and we got the win. I think we're gonna see a charged up defense in the first half, opposed to, you know, how it was the first half of this last game. I need to get to this question because I'll forget this question. Brian says, John, you there? Your camera froze up.
My camera's down?
No, it just froze up, but I can hear you.
That's weird. I'm not certain what's going on, but you know, when you're talking good, man, the Matrix, they try to shut you down.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me get to this question real quick. It says, Brian Jenkins says, I know the answer, but you can answer it. John Walker, he says, was John Walker on the 2005-2006 national championship team that played against Texas for the national championship? If so, I have a question about the 4th and 2. He says, sorry, off topic. No problem, Brian. We answer it, man.
What's up, Brian? Yes, I was on that team. I played from 01 to 05. That 06 Rose Bowl against the Longhorns, that was my final college game. Yeah.
He said he had a question about the 4th and 2, regarding the 4th and 2.
You're talking about Lindell White, 4th and 2?
I don't know if he's talking about the Vince Young. I can't remember that was all I know is Vince Young's knee was down. I don't want to even get on that because that has me burning up still when he did that pitch back. But that's a whole other story.
His knee was down.
His knee was down, man. I don't understand why they never reviewed that. That was crazy. That's
Yeah,
to this day that has me upset. But
the
anyway,
the replay booth was for some reason unavailable, and when we were fighting to get that replayed, they said, "Hey, no, it's a, we're on a TV schedule. This and that.
that was crazy.
We
I
have
can't.
a
I can't even get there with that.
we have a TV schedule to uphold, so we gotta go." And so
Yeah.
it was. Leave it at that. Like
Yeah.
I said, man, hey, there's a whole lot to these games that most people aren't aware of.
Yeah. So we're gonna wind this thing down. DJ says, honestly, I think that this is going to come down to USC defensive line on this one. And he says, if the WSU quarterback has time to throw, USC will be in trouble. What's your thoughts on that? We're about to get ready to do some predictions, score predictions. I'll let John go first, but what's your thoughts on that, John?
I'm not 100% certain on that. We'll see, because so far, our defense can give up 4 or 5 first downs on third down, and then one drive completely kill them and get the ball back. So I still haven't seen them just get buried by a passing game. I've seen people move the ball down the field and then hit a brick wall. I've seen us be out of position for 2 or 3 drives or 2 or 3 series, and then right before it's a critical moment, we figure out a way. So until I see where we consistently get rolled over in either a running attack or a passing attack, it's yet to be proven. I mean, we feel bad when offenses move the ball on us. We feel bad. But when you look at the scores at the end of the game, it was all for nothing in a lot of situations. Like, we still haven't given up 30 points in a game. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah.
We haven't given up 30 points in a game. And I think Stanford scored 28 on us. But I want to say, at least one of those drives, the offense gave them every first down that they earned.
Yeah.
And also that happened in this last week as well. So when I played, teams moved the ball on us. Washington State moved the ball on us. They really did. Hawaii, when we played them, they moved the ball on us. But at the end of the game, I think we beat them boys like 52 or 55 to like 10 or something. So again, I don't care if teams move the ball. It's putting up points on the board. All right? That's what we're trying to do.
Absolutely.
Stop people from scoring, not necessarily stop people from advancing. There is a difference between getting scored on frequently and consistently and then getting converted first downs on. There is a difference. And I'll say this again. I've said it once. No team will ever get extra credit for moving the ball and getting a lot of yards. They don't. They got to score. They got to score to beat us, unless our offense is playing so terrible that we can't put points on the board. And I've yet to see that happen either.
Absolutely. That's an incredible point. And I think it's important to know, I'll reiterate this again. Rice scored 14 points. Fresno scored 17 points. Oregon State scored 14 points. Stanford scored 28 points. And so you look at these games and and Arizona State scored 26, but given those penalties, those passing interference, it was 17 to that point. And it should have been stayed 17, but the referees kind of helped them out. But you look at USC, how they hold, I mean, I guess their average would be probably around maybe 20 points a game now? Would that be their average?
We give up 19.6, under 20 points a game.
Yeah. And so that's a pretty, and you look at the average of us, we put up 40-something points. So I think if you look at those averages and when you view it from that perspective, you got to be kind of happy and excited about what we can do on both sides of the ball and be able to have faith in both sides of the ball as well, and continue to think that this trend will continue.
Yes, I believe it'll actually get better.
Absolutely.
You know, I think it'll get better the more assignment football we play. Again, I don't think teams are just out physically us and like dominating us. You know, I don't see them just bullying us. I don't see that. What I see is sometimes we're out of position. Sometimes we hit the wrong gap. Sometimes we slip. I'm seeing self-sabotage situations that are easily coachable, easily fixable. It's another story if the other team is just way more brute force dominant than you. Like your skill is less than their skill.
Yeah.
That's a different thing, and I've yet to see that. I've yet to see us be completely dominated by another squad. I've seen us improper alignment. I've seen us hit the wrong gaps in run support. I've seen us grab receivers when we didn't need to. Little things that are controllable. You understand? And so that being said, and this team, they average 29 points a game. They almost average 30 points a game, right? We average 42 points a game.
Yeah.
So far, we're winning in that differential.
Yeah.
We give up 19 points a game. Now they've been giving up 18 points a game, but against teams that only average like 26 points a game.
Yes, yes.
You get what I'm saying? They haven't played any team.
And I think we have to use the practical, you know, sometimes we overthink this. We have to use these practical numbers. You know, people say, oh, we like the eye test, but sometimes you got to deal with the numbers because these are statistical numbers, and you got to look at where USC is and you got to look at where Washington State is and kind of apply that to the situation. And it's kind of been a trend that's going on. So with that, John, what would be, you can go, what would be your score prediction? I will give you mine as well after you.
I was thinking about this earlier this week, and you know, I was feeling our running game really setting it off for us, and then I was thinking that's going to open up our deep balls, and we're going to get some deep balls on these guys, in my opinion. So I was thinking somewhere around 49 to 52, somewhere in that range. And I believe that. I believe, and I could be you know.
No, that's good.
As wrong as can be, but that's what I'm feeling. Like the level of productivity our defense is gonna help us.
Yeah.
The ball so many times, and I think we'll control time of possession by a lot, by at least eight to 9.
I think we need to 8
to 9 to 10 minutes. So I'm gonna call it. Let's say 48 to maybe 20. I'm saying they're gonna score 2 touchdowns and maybe 2 field goals at most.
Yeah,
that's what I'm calling. So however you match that up somehow around
say it. So your score is what now? Say it again.
So I'm gonna call it. Sheesh, man, I'm not trying to give them that much credit, and that's my problem. So I'm gonna go 48 to, let's call it 26, 27, somewhere.
Yeah, that's cool. One thing I won't do, I will not shortchange our offense. I think we're gonna continue with the 40 and up. I just think we can do that. I think Caleb is in the zone. I think he's gonna stay in that zone, and I think Caleb is the X factor that's gonna cause some serious problems. I'm gonna say 45 to 24, 45-24. I don't want to give them that much credit either.
That's kind of where I am. You know, that's kind of where I am. But then I start to visualize those refs wanting to get involved, so I gave them a little more wiggle room. Yeah. Because they just want to, man. These Pac-12 refs, they want to get involved. They want to be on TV.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm going to say.
Yeah.
These dudes, man. Yeah.
Well, look, we got to shut this thing down. I hate to shut it down. We got to shut it down. And listen, we're going to be coming back. Of course, we're going to come back on Sunday. And listen, we believe that this is about to be the victory. Victory is listen, we got to get through this. We got to get through this. I don't even want to hear Utah right now. Let's just focus on this. Let's worry about this. Hopefully, everybody, offensive line, Cortland Ford, everybody stays healthy. And listen, we believe for a victory, man. John, last words before we get up out of here.
Last words. So this week is Friends and Family Day in the Coliseum. and on campus. So everybody's going to have their loved ones in attendance. Sometimes that could be a distraction. I, however, believe that our coaches can say, look how many times we've already been distracted. All right. This is not one of those games or those opportunities where you guys need to fumble the bag. Right now, we get to control our destiny. The teams that are in the top 5, the teams that are above us, they all have to play each other at some point. So those squads can cannibalize themselves. You understand? Ohio State, Michigan have to play each other. Also, the SEC teams, I don't even want to mention them. They have to play one another. The ACC teams are finally about to hit more competition. This is a green light, all gas, no brakes, full speed, full throttle, streamline towards the college playoff. We got to get through these next 5 weeks. And you cannot look past one to get to the other. You don't look past them, you look through them. So I believe our squad is primed mentally, emotionally, and physically because we're getting healthier. The guys are starting to understand how to play well and communicate better. They've been battle tested enough in this season to recognize these games are not easy, and there are no pushovers in our conference. I think that we're primed to do well in the midst of all of the things that people say should be a distraction, and I believe that they want to perform for their family.
Absolutely. So we appreciate it. And this guy said, "Fat Dog is my real name." I don't even, that guy, man. Hey, look, man, everybody hit that like button, hit that everybody hit that subscribe button, man. We appreciate everybody for tapping in, man. And we almost been an hour, but we got to shut it down. But listen, we appreciate everybody for tapping in. John, we appreciate you as well, man. Until Saturday. No, actually, I'll probably come to you guys tomorrow. But until tomorrow, man, look, everybody fight on, fight on, fight on, and we'll holler at you guys. God bless.
All right, guys. No hate.